Now, I like to draw things. I still like the physical art. I still like to do the artwork. So, following the thumbnails, I'll draw the comic. Now, as I'm drawing 4 or 5 books at a time, usually, I can quite easily do that. And as you can see, sometimes the artwork's on different size pages, but when you scan them and everything, they all end up the same size anyway. So I can draw some of these pages, I can draw them sometimes months, weeks apart, but I do love to see the actual physical artwork. I've used a tablet. I can use a tablet. I can do draw them electronically, but my art's quite basic anyway. It doesn't really require sort of fancy electronic gadgetry, and I do love to have the physical artwork. A4 is an excellent size for, as I say, for scanning, but also for storage. I've sort of taught myself to draw to this size over the years, and I don't think you lose any detail or any clarity, or it just certainly doesn't inhibit my artwork working on a small scale like this. So there we are. So we've got all the artwork. That'll all be scanned. That'll go into the file, and maybe I'll move on to something else, and then that particular file will move on to be coloured or lettered or something like that. I do all my own lettering though. But mainly just before it goes to the printers, it'll be turned into any book I'm doing will be turned into a sort of A5 booklet. Some of you may or may not disagree with this, but I don't think you know how something's going to look until it's printed. At least I need that anyway. I mean, some of you won't. I mean, some of you will probably have a good idea how something's going to look without needing to do this. I also find it's very useful just to get the overall feel of the book, And then after I've done this and I've sort of seen that everything seems to be working out okay, of course I'll send it off for colouring, and then it'll come back and I'll make a PDF, and then it'll go off to the printer. And this particular book that I'm showing you now is one called Captain Correction. It is a beautiful cover drawn by Andy Dodd there, a friend of mine. He also colours the books. I write and draw everything. Andy, but I'll let Andy draw the covers, mainly because I think, I don't know, I just think it's better if somebody else draws your covers. I know, again, opinions will vary on that point, but I think it's quite a useful thing to have somebody else draw your covers for you. All the books have the same, all look the same, have the same sort of backing, same information, blah blah blah. I usually have an insert with biography, whatever, a little bit of an explanation as to what I think the story is about. This particular character here, Captain Correction, it's based on the idea of corporal punishment, which you don't hear of these days, but when I was a kid, and particularly people my age will remember, when we were at school, if we did anything wrong or we broke the rules or something like that, a teacher or even a prefect would hit you on the hand with a stick. And that was called corporal punishment. They actually had a punishment book, and it was legal. And if you misbehaved, someone would actually take you on side and whack you with a stick. And this practice sort of died out in the 1980s, and good riddance. It was a bloody awful thing to do to children, but that's what they used to do in those days. But a lot of people, I remember that this story is based on, a lot of people used to say for quite some time, they don't say it anymore these days, that children's behaviour had deteriorated since the banned corporal punishment, and they would love to see it come back. And I thought, well, yeah, but here we've got a guy, he's an old, sort of middle-aged, possibly older man. He's not wearing glasses, so it's not me. Thinking, well, if society, if we reintroduce corporal punishment, society would improve. It's entirely based on a false premise, the idea that you can torture children to get them to behave properly. But this is what this man, it's an anti-corporal punishment book. I've already had this out loads of times. I'm not advocating that children should be hit with sticks. What actually happens to him is, of course, he usually makes things worse. He usually causes mayhem and chaos, and usually ends up being arrested by the police, quite rightly so. And no good ever comes of it, which is the moral of the story. There he is being carted off by the law again. That's how most of the stories end. He usually gets arrested, quite rightly so, and he ends up in jail. I like the idea. I like that sort of disjointed sort of theory of social improvement, where if somebody has just sort of wants something, or thinks that there's one simple solution to society's problems, or takes the law into their own hands, to me that always ends badly, and it should end badly as well. So that's the basic premise of the book. Now, this particular idea, I really like this idea. The drawn story, the original story was drawn about 5, 6, 7 years ago. And of course, it was about 13 pages long, so I had to do a lot of additions and editing and everything, and I actually had to write more stories to get it into 2 books, if you know what I mean. It was too long for 1 book. To make it into 2 books, I had an awful lot of stuff, but I still stuck to my original format now.